tightly oiled machine here.
Are we?
Where are we live? Is this a Facebook thing?
It's on YouTube, man.
Oh, YouTube. Oh, no wonder. YouTube. Oh, this is official. What's up, Google?
What's up, Google?
Are we approved by Google yet?
I'm still not seeing it. Oh, here it is. I got it. Oh, there's me.
You
There's
like
Peter.
looking at yourself, don't you?
I do.
It's a nice shirt you got there, buddy.
Thanks.
Representing. What's up? Where we at? This camera? Man, this is awesome.
Straight ahead.
So should we like share this so that our friends and I think people love the beginning of YouTube lives when there's a lot of technical stuff going on.
When everybody's just kind of like talking about the YouTube live.
So I'm saying podcast live now. Join us. Are we inviting?
Yep, I'm inviting people via the Facebooks.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm going to invite people via the telephone. No, I'm not. I don't have my phone here.
What's up, YouTube?
What's up? What's up? So what are we doing today?
So we are, first of all, we're saying what's up to YouTube. We're about to record 2 episodes of the You'll Hear It podcast live.
What?
Yeah.
We got a little pressure on us, too.
I know, because we
work well under pressure.
We do. We hardly ever prepare. And then also we're going to be relying on your...
The kindness of strangers?
Yeah. What's up, Rob Jeter, Thorstensen from Iceland. What's up, Iceland?
Oh, come on now.
Nice,
That's how we do
man.
it. I wish I was in Iceland right now.
So we're going to do one, we're going to record one episode about should you use a real book, and then we're going to do a live Q&A. So please put your questions in the chat. What's up, Harrison? Any questions you have, jazz, piano, life,
Yep. We'll
running, tennis,
yep,
whatever you got.
Exactly.
Do you have a wine cellar? Maybe fine wines you can have.
I actually built a wine cellar. Me and we built a wine cellar.
Excellent.
So yeah, I know a little something about that. It still works. It's 55 degrees there all the time.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't have a lot of wine in there right now because my wife and I drank it all. So yeah. Man, it's Big Friday here.
Remy from France. What's up, Remy? What's up, Neil?
Man, how do you see where these people are, man?
They're
That's
over on the
amazing.
chat. Man,
Oh,
on the
there
right.
it is.
Come on, man.
What's up, Harrison? I missed seeing you last May in PDX. I do not know many Portland cats. I know there's a bunch of good cats out there though, so that would be nice. Next time I come, we gotta get together. Remy, I love your videos. I'm from France. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Pierre. Je comprends pas un petit peu de français. Je ne parle pas bien le français. Excusez-moi, je suis américain.
Hey, Andrew, Neil says
That's
that
so much.
we have a comment that the audio is quiet.
Come on, Andrew and team. Andrew's got 2 assistant engineers.
All right, Neil, we hear you.
Right.
We're going to try to boost that audio up a little bit.
Had to turn up my TV to 18.
Audio
yeah, but is that like
superload.
18 out of 100?
Yeah.
Or is it 18 out of 20? Or 18 out
All
of
right,
10?
we're working on the audio. Hopefully, we're going to boost that up a little bit for y'all. This is why we do these. This is why everybody on YouTube does these annoying initial.
Do give us a shout out where you are. I love that. I love this.
Yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
like,
We love seeing where
man,
you're from.
you don't know how appreciative we are. You know,
I mean, we could tell them.
No, to have folks tuning in. I mean, we got people listening to the podcast, watching it every day, and it means, it means the world to us because we'd be here talking anyway, but we really feel the community love, and the fact that it's a global thing makes it even cooler.
Agreed.
I met a bunch. Actually, I'm going to be in Europe in October and beginning of November. Just got a plane ticket. I never know if I'm going until the ticket arrives. You know what I mean? Like anyone can make an itinerary, but like, will you buy a plane ticket for me? No, but I'm going to be over there. So looking forward to maybe meeting some folks. I know there's going to be some Italy, Germany, and I can't remember what else. Oh, Amsterdam. We're starting in Amsterdam.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's up, Amsterdam? Go see PM with DR.
Have you read Chick Corea's Myth of Improvisation? Weren't you just talking about that the other day?
No, that was a myth.
Oh, that was a myth. Seems normal. Haha. Thanks, Neil. Going to see Julian Lodge. Nice. Didn't you call him Lodge? Oh, no, that's
Lodge Lund.
Lage.
I get those two.
Yeah, Julian Lodge.
Crisscrossed. Yeah. I'm
Southwest London, Kingston. Oh yeah,
Upon
Kingston in the house.
Thames.
I've been down there. I got family. I got cousins in northern. I got cousin in Central London, but also in Camden Town.
Nice.
Yeah. But Southwest Kingston, I've been down there. Jan Lund, what's up? What's up? Audio low indeed. Thank you guys for helping us with that. Yeah. What else is up? Adam.
Let's do. All right. I'm going to leave a comment here and I just want to reiterate, just leave us your questions here in the chat and we will try to get to them as best we can in the next episode. We're going to record a You'll Hear It episode here all on using a real book and if you should do it.
But we don't have a real book, so we're not actually going to be using. Oh, whether or not we're using.
I mean, that's a spoiler alert right there.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Greetings from Colombia. What's up, Edwin?
Columbia, Missouri, or Columbia, South America.
So, I don't know.
Oh, that's COLO. That's Colombia. That's the real deal.
Colombia.
Yeah.
So,
which is
we'll
gracias.
Answer in.
Can I tell a quick funny story
Please do.
from a gig the other
While
day
I'm trying to
Colombia.
think of how to word this. Yeah.
I did a little duo tour last week with Homero Labumbo, our friend of the podcast. And we were in Arkansas, and the next day we'd been playing 4 nights in a row, and he's like, "Where are we going today?" We're in the car. I said, "We're going to Columbia." And he's like, "Oh, great. I've actually been to Columbia." I was like, "Really?" I was surprised he did it. Columbia, Missouri. And Romero starts talking about it. He's like, "Man, I love it there. The port is so beautiful in Columbia, and the people and the food." I was like, "Yeah, the people are." And I'm thinking, does the Missouri go through there? I don't know if there's a port. But he was talking about, he's like, "Yes, I love playing." And I was like, "Where did you play there?" And he said, "Oh, I played 3 times in Cartagena." So he was talking about Columbia, the country.
Nice. He wasn't talking about Murray's.
Well, but we had such a fun gig, though. He's like, "I love this." I told the story at the gig. But I was weird about it is like we're driving. He knew we had a gig that afternoon. We're like 9 a.m. driving from Arkansas. How did he think we're going to drive to Cartagena or drive to an airport to get there in time? That was pretty amazing. So
no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
He's a road warrior. He's always ready. 2 passports ready to go. Man, I see some You'll Hear It swag down here on the YouTube channel.
Look at that.
What?
Look at the white swag on the.
Man,
look at who wants a Teespring T-shirt of our cartoon images?
Man, I totally want that. For $5.99? What? Oh, that's like a sticker or something. Mug? Yeah.
This mug on the
All right,
mug.
let's get going because you
let's
got a hard out.
Got
right?
a hard out, right. Okay, let's do it. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Should we do our live?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we could. Okay. We got to do the first part.
What is it?
Yeah. And then
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Here we go. Ready?
I'll give you 4 before.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Get in my zone.
Get in the zone. Get in the zone. This is how we do it.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Adam.
Do you use a fake?
Oh. See.
Oh.
Oh, you're not ready yet? No. Oh, come
Oh,
on, man.
come
So
on.
we
See,
ready?
this is
This
that's
when you
how
get
that
interns.
rolls.
When you get interns,
Woo.
you get what you pay for. YouTube Live.
What?
Ryan, we're gonna put Ryan on the podcast soon. He's
Yeah.
apparently
Before
not,
you
but
go,
now we're
you
rolling.
got to be on an episode.
Right. Okay. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Adam.
Do you prefer the real book or the fake book?
I like the real fake book. How about that?
Yeah, me too.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm Adam Manis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast and a D flat hanging over on the Kranick Bach.
Daily jazz advice coming at you, and you know what that means with the Kranick and Bach being used for the intro.
That's right.
We're live.
We are live.
We're live. Now, of course, if you're watching or listening to the podcast on the regular day, we're not live, but we recorded this live. We've got YouTube live going. We got some fine folks joining us, and we're having some fun, man.
Yeah, man, this is great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Today's Thursday. Think future Adam and future.
Okay,
Peter
I'm
on
trying to
Thursday.
remember. This is
Hump day.
Thursday next week. No,
It's not Hump Day.
That's
Okay.
Wednesday.
Day after Hump Day.
Day after Hump Day.
I knew it
Okay.
was something to do with it.
So today, you know what we're talking about?
I have no idea. Actually.
We're talking about.
No, really.
We're talking about real books. And
Oh, that's right. You just told me that like 5 minutes ago.
what's the deal with real books, and should you use the real book? This is a question we get asked quite a bit, and we could even get into a little bit of like some lead sheets. And you know why we would get into a little bit of some lead sheets?
Well, do we want to give it away now or wait to talk about that? We can talk about it now.
Yeah, we should talk about it now. We are, by the way, brought to you by Open Studio. And Open Studio, we just launched.
OpenStudioJazz.com.
We need to get one of those like Manhattan Transfer style old radio tight harmony groups to do like
the
a jingle.
of what I just did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we just released a course,
Yep.
a mini course. And it's actually going to be a series of courses called Jazz Piano Basics. And the first one, volume 1, is called Lead Sheet Breakdown.
Yes.
And in it, I go through this sort of 4-step process of how to interpret a lead sheet for solo piano.
Like it.
Something that I think a lot of people might find interesting. And the very first introduction lesson, I kind of talk a little bit about the history of the real book as I understand it, the history of lead sheets.
Yeah.
And
Do you talk about how it went from illegal to legal? That's an interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is really interesting. Yeah. I didn't get into that legal history of it, but the history of lead sheets goes right in line with the fake book. So the fake book, there was a book called The Fake Book, came out in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah. And
it was really like photocopied, but they called it something else. I forget what they called it, but like illegal, like facsimiles onto the page of really, really inaccurate lead sheets for tunes. Like I was reading up that like sometimes they would even have the chord symbols were really for like ukulele or something. So if it was like an A7 flat 9 chord, it was written as like a C sharp diminished. So if you play piano, like, what are you going to do?
I know.
And that stuff still, like, it made its way even into modern day lead sheets, that kind of thing.
I had one of those at one time, and it might have been like a copied version and then bound again, but with those kind of charts. And that's what first soured me to the whole real book, fake book kind of thing. I mean, I know they got a little bit better later, but I kind of saw the chronology, not in real time from the 40s and 50s, but I had one of those.
Well, okay, so then there were all these different fake books then between the 40s and on. And then in the 1970s, this group of students at Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Big shout out to Berklee.
And I should look this up because some of them, I think there was like, Steve Swallow was involved, I think.
Yeah.
Like
I think so, because there was a lot of Steve Swallow.
There was a lot of Steve.
I didn't really know who he was. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, man, this guy is like, there's like equal number of Charlie Parker and Steve Swallow tunes in here.
It was Steve Swallow heavy, the first edition of that real book.
Yeah.
But they, like this group of Berklee students and teachers got together and basically made what we now know as the first volume of the real book.
Right.
And even that, though, notoriously had a ton of
errors.
Yeah. In the melody and in
melody, harmony. I mean, that one was the one. Okay, well, sometimes they would sort of tell you why, like they would put the album that they took it from. So that would tell you if there was errors. Like Round Midnight is a famous one on there because it was the Miles Davis version of Round Midnight. So maybe it wasn't so much of an error, but it was not the original version from the composer for sure.
Yeah, and at least they gave you the version, so you could be like, okay, well, I'll check this out.
But sometimes they list a couple albums too, so you weren't really sure. And sometimes they'd make mistakes off of that album anyway.
For sure.
Yeah.
So and then sometime in I think it was probably the mid '90s. Somehow the publishers, I think it was probably Hal Leonard from my recollection. Do you remember the new real book? Do you remember those?
Yeah, that was a little earlier. That was probably 80s.
Was that 80s, late 80s?
Late 80s,
Yeah. So the new real book was like finally a copyrighted. You didn't have to go to Baton Music and go to the back with the guy and then pay him $70 for like a fake book. You could go to like, you could still go to Baton Music.
What was really hard is when before you got into the back, when they checked you for a wire and made you strip down and check you for. Oh, that didn't happen.
Didn't happen to me.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I was there a couple of years before you.
No. So So you would start finding these copyrighted versions of the real book, and like I think there were varying degrees of success. Like the first peach colored new real book was all right.
It was all right.
There was good.
Aren't these the ones that they had like the B flat version and the E flat
and
version?
E flat version. Yeah.
And the binding on it was much superior to the kind of Kinko's quick job that the real books were.
It was. So, yeah. And then now it's like
it's a free for all.
It's iRealB.
Yeah.
It's like all.
Now
on
is
your
that
phone.
the same people? Because I'm not very familiar with that. I know about it.
You don't have the iRealB on your phone? Good for you.
I'm very, very excited that I do not have that. But is that's a legal thing?
It is because it's just chord sheets. It's not lead sheets.
Oh, right.
It is not. Yeah, there's no melodies, which actually I think it's all right. Like,
but it's got the name of the tunes and the composer.
Yep.
Or just okay.
I don't know if it has the composer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it does have the name of the tunes. And then also it has like play-alongs, and you can pick your styles and all
Yeah.
this stuff.
But is it a problem now? And I haven't been on a lot of these gigs recently, but I've occasionally been on them or at least seen them where you got some younger players that came up with the phone attached to them, I guess.
Yeah.
And, somebody's like, let's play Satin Doll. And they're like, the bass player's just like, cool. Like they think that they know every tune because they can pull it up even if it doesn't have the melody. And that's why you see like rhythm section players doing this. Like we used to have to struggle and be like, either bring a real book or basically just like whatever you knew is what you knew.
Yeah.
Now we got people pretending like they know tunes because they can pull it up and even play because it transposes, right?
It transposes for you. Yeah.
So it's a little bit...
it's ultimately lazy. I mean, it really is.
Right.
It's the pinnacle of laziness for musicians.
And maybe that's why cats are not learning tunes like they used to.
Probably.
Like
I mean, you
section.
remember when we were learning, like the real book was even frowned upon,
Right.
as far as like really learning the tune.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, in a certain extent, that kind of stuff is always still there. So
Yeah.
we can do our part right now to frown upon this for the younger
frown.
generation. Let's frown.
Okay.
So one of the things I talk about in Lead Sheet Breakdown, which we'll provide a link here in the episode description for, one of the things I talk about is how to approach a lead sheet, how to make the lead sheet your own. If you have a real book version of, say, something like Autumn Leaves, right? How much do you trust that real book version?
Right.
Where can you verify it?
Right.
Where can you come up with ideas that are probably closer to the original? So obviously go to the source.
This is just like entering the United States. Trust but verify.
That's right.
That's why they ask for a passport, see?
To trust but verify.
Yeah.
There should be a tune passport. Autumn Leaves might be a weird one because it's such a old, weird French tune that's been done like a million times. It was probably like early 20th century originally in France.
I don't know.
Vive la France. And then, but like take a tune like Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Right? Harold Arlen.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the real book, there's a bunch of weird chord changes, probably ukulele changes.
Yeah.
And if you go to the film and listen to Judy Garland sing it, you can hear exactly what the composer had in mind. You can hear some great orchestration. I forget the guy's name who orchestrated that on the film, but he was really, really good.
Igor Stravinsky?
It was not Stravinsky,
okay.
no. But it's super, you get all this information that's not in the real book. You get information like what are the actual chord changes, what are the actual bass movements. Then you get things like the counter melodies that are like super important. You get the viola parts and the clarinet parts and the things that are happening under the melody.
And you're probably not getting any crazy changes, though.
You are not getting any crazy changes.
Which is nice because I like this idea, and I know that you talk about this some in the course, is like how do we decide... How do we build that up either ourselves and make that a style?
Yeah.
Or how do we take things that have kind of become jazz conventions and have made it? Because, I mean, we always talk about jazz standards. They didn't start out as jazz standards. And for sure, Autumn Leaves is a jazz standard.
For sure.
And Somewhere Over the Rainbow is just kind of like a big popular tune. From
Great American Songbook
Great
standard.
American Songbooks, and a little bit jazz standardy. But it's interesting, these different levels as far as like how much harmonic freedom do we have? How much... I mean, ultimately, it's whatever we want, but like, how much do we take that's kind of become the standard jazz version of that tune, right?
Yeah, totally. But those are decisions that can't be made unless you actually do some research to what the tune was originally.
Yeah.
So you can see what the lead sheet that is in the real book has. You can hear the original, and you can make some decisions based on maybe another recording, like a recording from another jazz musician who's played the tune, and then you can decide like, okay, I'm going to take this from the original, I'm going to take this from Miles's version, and I'm going to make my own version. I'm going to add my own intro, maybe reharm this part of it. That's what, in my experience, this is what I do. It's what you do. It's what pretty much all the pro musicians I know do is not rely solely on one source for a tune.
Right.
And then sometimes we can't discount word of mouth here either.
I know.
Because sometimes it's like I might know Beatrice only from what Willie Aikens showed me on
Right.
it. You know what I mean? That's it. Then
We're a product of our environment.
Yeah. Shame on me for not actually doing more research, but I trusted Willie that he would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those kind of things are also important. But I feel like those kind of word of mouth things are an important part of this.
I like those, and they're kind of become some regional things too. Like I noticed
sure.
from St. Louis and New Orleans and New York, kind of the three main places that I've lived, and you see the way musicians in those communities learn and play the same tunes. There is different little stylistic things, and sometimes they're purely stylistic, but oftentimes they are sort of changes the way that people play them. It's not a right or wrong, but just from playing gigs together and, like you say, learning from older musicians, you learn it in that way, and I think that that's a cool thing. I mean, you can have, like, we always talk about reference recordings, and I think that when we say that, maybe some people misinterpret that to mean like you have to play it that way. And to me, a reference recording is just like a version that you can learn it off of, because I like to, as much as possible, learn things by ear.
For sure.
And encourage that. And so when you do that, it's almost like people, when they take the real book or a fake book or whatever, that's becoming your reference. So something is going to be your reference point.
Yeah.
And if we're going to play it in a jazz style, you can't only use the original Judy Garland singing it, because you're not going to play it just the way, you're not going to sing it like that.
Yeah, first of all, she sings it in A flat, which is a terrible key on the piano for that tune.
Right. So you're already doing some interpretation.
Right.
But it's kind of like, and that's where I think a lot of times for me, the reference recordings, as much as, how you could combine that with the lead sheet and how much you're going to use of that, can be, I don't know, Ella Fitzgerald, just because I love her singing, she always, I think, straddles the line nicely between, like, she really could sing the songs the original way, but then gave them that jazz vibe.
For sure.
Now, it always depended upon what the arrangement and stuff was around it, but in terms of, like, the melody, you're getting some interpretation, but you're really getting the words. You're getting the tune in a jazz style. So it kind of bridges that Great American Songbook over into jazz. Even if you're not learning to sing it, it's great to know the lyrics and to hear them and have that part of it. So I've used that a lot of times as a reference. I think Frank Sinatra is really good in a similar way.
Agreed.
With that, like, he's singing the song, but he's never, like, right down the middle,
Agreed.
And so, but it really can be in it. I mean, Billie Holiday. I mean, just really whoever you like.
Whoever's a good jazz singer is good at that.
And
kind
I
of
didn't
thing,
mean to knock Miles earlier. It's just that, like, if you're going to learn around midnight, if you're going to learn one of Miles's tunes or one of his band's tunes, you go to Miles, and his version of Around Midnight's great. But he's already so heavily interpreted that I think a little bit of a deeper dive into the Thelonious Monk's original version with the form and the harmony and the intro and the whole thing.
Right.
His version is the way to go.
I mean, even if you think about, like, modern jazz standards, something like a Miles tune, like if you think of Blue and Green, if you just approach that from the real book, first of all, some of those changes are not quite right.
Right.
And then
they're wrong.
Well, they are, yeah. By not quite right, I mean they're completely wrong.
Yeah.
But then also you miss some of the coolest parts about that tune, which is how the time doubles at sections and then doubles again at the end. All that stuff. The meter changes, like those little details. If you're just I'll tell you right now, if you're like a young musician, a beginning musician wanting to get better at that, knowing those details when you go to a jam session or when you get called for a gig with players who are a little more experienced with you, those go a long way as far as people. Expecting now you are like one of the players, like you know your stuff, and you don't just have this elementary real book version of this.
Absolutely.
So, man. Well, this was fun. Please check out openstudiojazz.com. We're going to have a link in here for the new course, Jazz Piano Basics Lead Sheet Breakdown. Check that out. We get way deep into this on that course.
And the three tunes that you cover, correct me if I'm wrong here, Autumn Leaves, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and
Summertime.
Summertime, that's right.
Summertime is a good one because the real book version has a ton of nasty changes in there that take away from, like, Gershwin's amazing orchestration of that.
Right. Yeah, so I think Autumn Leaves was the one you felt was closest to playable in the original that was in the real book, right?
Yeah, when I checked some older recordings and some copyrighted versions, there wasn't that much difference. It's such a simple tune.
Yeah.
But Summertime has some egregious errors. Over the Rainbow is kind of all over the place. Trying to, like, whoever did the real book version of Over the Rainbow, they tried to relay some counter melody information using chord changes, and it just doesn't. When they do that, like, you'll see, like, G minor 7 and then E flat.
Yeah.
And then G minor and then G diminished, but all they really want to do is do a counter melody of F, E flat, D, and D. Like, that's what they did. And it's like, well, how is anybody supposed to know that without listening? You know what I mean? Like, this is a terrible way to communicate that.
Right.
So all of that stuff is worth investigating for sure.
So since we're on the YouTube Live right now too, Neil has a great comment. You rarely want to hear a standard played as standard, do you?
No.
I like that.
That's great. Cool. Well, thanks to everybody here on YouTube Live and our listeners not live.
Yeah.
You got anything else on this beat?
Well, no, I was just saying that's such a great comment to kind of appear. But Neil also says, I can't read lead sheets. I need iReal Pro. Ha ha ha. So you got kind of the yin and the yang. I like that.
Neil's a bit of a joker.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What else we got?
That's it, man.
That's it. Well,
Yeah.
till tomorrow.
You'll hear it.
That's how we do it. Thank you.
Bam!
Wait, Neil had another one. I would love to hear someone jazz up Food Glorious Food. Ha ha ha. I like that. Hello from Chicago. What's up, Tracy? Windy City. Is it cold up there yet?
Shy.
I know we're probably getting close. We're 300 miles from you, but it's like a world away. I love Chicago.
We should do a You'll Hear It from Chicago.
You know where last time I was up there, I stayed in the River North neighborhood.
Yeah?
Are you familiar with that?
No.
I don't know if that's like a new kind of neighborhood, but man, it's so like high end everything, but it's great. Everything. I mean, like the architecture, the restaurants, everything is just killing there.
Love it.
All right, so next we're doing some questions, some Q&A. And question for the show.
Yeah,
when you're
so-
practicing something new, scale. We're just going to read them as we go, right?
Yeah, we'll read them as we go. Now's your time. If you have a question, a music question.
And you know, we have really like short-term memory, so probably we're going to read whatever pops in latest. So if you put one in earlier, we'll try to go back, though. We should. You know, there's a thing on here. I'm just putting this out there. No one has to do this. I don't know if you knew about this. You can you can pay to get your question to pop out more. Did you know that?
How do you do
On
that?
YouTube. You see that dollar sign down there?
No.
Next to the smiley face. Super chat is called. It's called super chat.
Super chat.
I'm just saying. It's out there.
I'm going to go ahead and do a shameless plug here, YouTube. Here's the new course if you're interested.
Oh, bam. Drop it like it's hot. Hope everyone's having a great Friday, and thank you for joining us on YouTube Live. If you haven't already, certainly ask a question, but also just let us know where you are in the world. City, country, language, anything like that.
Cool. Do we feel like we have enough? We
Yes.
should start.
We could use some more, but no pressure, guys. No, we
So
got
keep
'em.
the questions coming.
All right,
and-
so we'll pick one out and we'll go back and forth. Okay? Ready?
yeah, let's do it.
We recording yet, Ryan? Oh, we are. Oh, you hadn't been recording yet. See how we do it? Ryan's about to come famous. Are we going? Okay. Hey, Adam.
What's up?
We're doing a live Q&A today. Are you available?
Is this a live thing?
It's a live thing. It's about to start right now.
I got to go.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what that sound means? It's a live thing. I'm Peter Martin.
I'm Adam Manis.
And this is, we got out of order, so I don't know what this is.
I'm Adam Manis.
I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily jazz advice coming at you. See, we're like lemmings, man. If we get it, we got to just keep it.
I can't.
My wife messes with me sometimes. She's like, I'm Adam Manis. I'm like, I'm Peter Martin. I'm just like saying it. We got to get the wives back on here.
I know. They were way better than us.
Way better. Way better.
Yeah, so today we're live on YouTube. We're taking your questions. We did this a couple weeks ago, and it was insanely popular. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it was either mildly amusing or insanely popular. I can't remember which.
was
No,
one
it
of the
actually
two.
was popular. Folks liked it, and we got a nice group of folks from around the world. We got France, we got Chicago, we got Iceland, we got
Colombia.
Colombia, not Columbia, Missouri, Cartagena. Well, I don't know if it's Cartagena, but Colombia in South America. So yeah, we're excited. And so should we just jump right in? We're Q&A-ing. Well, we're sponsored by Open Studio. We'll just say that.
We are.
We have a brand new course.
We do.
One of your, you've got a couple now. Adam Manis is planting his flag on the Open Studio.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah, this is lead sheet breakdown from our brand new Jazz Piano Basics series. And these are mini courses. Not cheap, but I mean less expensive.
Affordable.
Affordable, sorry. I got to get my marketing speak. No, they're shorter. They're more digestible, lower figure, double digits instead of triple digits like we normally are. Getting some great response already. And basically, you just walk through pianists. It's really mostly for pianists, right?
For sure.
It's just that's why we call it Jazz Piano Basics. But it's really about how to approach a lead sheet.
Yes.
And yesterday, we did a whole talk on the podcast about the real book and stuff. So this is a little bit related to that, but it's like you go through 3 tunes. You start it from really just the basics, and you take these 4 steps and these elements and put them together. And
you
it's
got it, man.
Really cool, man.
Have you taken the course? You guys
I have
sounds like
taken
you
the course.
got
I
it.
graduated. I'm waiting for my certificate. So what I thought would be good today, since we're totally ill prepared for this live, is to wing it, and we'll just sort of jump back and forth with questions.
Yeah, we got our first question here towards the top from Nick Tardif Base 7. Hi, what do you guys like to think about in a turnaround that goes 3, flat 2 diminished to 5, specifically on the flat 2 diminished? In C would be E flat diminished. Do you think B7? I love this because I've got a great answer for this.
Yeah.
No.
I don't either. In fact, you're blowing my mind even thinking about B3, the way he has it written. But what are you thinking about?
So, Nick, I'm going to blow your mind real quick here. I think about A flat 7, sharp 11 over E flat. Now that seems like a lot. It's actually kind of a diminished voicing. Check
Nerd
this out.
alert.
Yeah, right?
Ooh,
Oh, it sounds beautiful.
yeah. Even on the Kranich and Bach.
One more time.
Ouch.
Hard to hear on the Kranich and Bach, but trust me. Think about this movement here, right? So this is kind of like diminished shell. So I have E, D, G, and then E flat, C, G flat. I'm gonna try to reach it again, and then on the top I have this sort of like an like a B flat, D, F, A flat stacked on each other. It's a voicing I completely stole from Bill Evans, and it's gorgeous on the right piano. This is not that piano.
Yeah, we keep it here because it's.
But that's what I think about for that, especially for 3/6/2 kind of thing.
That's great.
That diminished voicing, and it's kind of a little bit off of the diminished. But for me, man, that just like pops.
No, that's great. I
Yeah.
had another answer, but it wasn't as good. So let's move on. That was perfect. No, I mean, that's the way it goes. Okay, so now we're going to jump down a little bit from Dave B. When you're practicing something new, scale, voicing, lick, whatever, how do you know when you've got it? I feel like I can practice something forever. When are you done? That's a really good question because I've heard it a lot and I've thought about it a lot. And the hardest thing, first of all, I do think that there is a point that you got it. And by got it, I mean, for me, what that means is it's a part of your repertoire. It's something that you're comfortable playing.
Yes.
And if you think about, it's the difference between if you learn a new word, like let's say you read in the newspaper or in a book a word and you don't even know how to pronounce it. So you got to find that out. That's easier now because the internet can actually pronounce things, or Alexa, or whatever. But, once I think you get to the point that you can say the word in line, like as part of a sentence, and without thinking, I'm going to use this new word, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to pronounce it. It's a natural part of your vocabulary. That happens at a certain point, but you don't really know when that point is. So that's what's tricky about this. I think you can get it, but you're not going to know when you're done until you're actually done, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So it's like once so you're talking about scale, voicing, lick, whatever. Once you play that without having to think about it and without even knowing that you played it, and you played it at the right time and it sounded good, that's when you know you're done practicing it. And you can certainly practice it more, but I think that then it's a part of your vocabulary. Then you just need to play it.
Yeah.
Like if you do stop using it, you'll lose it, but that's not necessarily practicing it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know when I have something when it comes out when I play.
Yeah.
Then I have it, right? And I don't try to force it before then. If it just naturally comes out, I know I've been working on it, right? And I know then it's part of my sound. If I work on something, and even if I know it really well, but like I don't ever start putting it in my playing, I'm not going to force it.
No.
And it's like, I'm like, well, I just don't like it very much.
Right.
So I'm just going to quit practicing it altogether. But if something starts...
And so you might have it.
Of course.
But it's just not something that now your musical discernment is taking over. It's not a matter of like you haven't practiced it enough.
Usually if it's something that I'm really interested in, I can't wait for it to be in my playing. And I hear it in my playing. I just can't execute it yet.
Yeah.
And so if I'm practicing, I want to be there with it. So it just starts coming out. And then once I can execute it on the fly comfortably in time, at varying speeds with control, I know I've got it.
Yeah, and I think, we joke about this because the name of this podcast is You'll Hear It.
Yep.
But I think that that's really what we're talking about. Like you can hear it, like you'll hear it, but then like how do you get to the point where you can execute it? That's that time of practice. And then once you get to the point where you hear it and you're doing it, and then you're like, wow, that's when you know you got it.
Hashtag reps, Andrew.
Reps
when you're editing.
That's right.
Hashtag reps.
That's
Because
right.
it takes reps.
Cool.
Okay, I have one up here a little bit higher. What have you guys been shedding lately? I've been putting the metronome to the first partial of the triplet to make myself focus on the placement of every note. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So first partial of the triplet means maybe the
second.
da 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 da.
Oh, that's
da da.
the first
da,
up.
da,
Yeah.
da.
That's good. That's really good stuff. Actually, that thing, I just recorded a lesson today for Jazz Piano Method on this new pentatonic exercise I came up with. This is actually something I've been practicing
You've been
on.
shedding, yeah.
And I go through, eighth notes, triplets with the same kind of pattern over that scale. And then, with possibility for different accents within the triplet. I think it's very important because that's something that's super applicable to actual execution of phrasing while we're improvising.
For sure.
And it's the kind of thing that you have to have ingrained in you and the kind of control, especially for pianists. I think for horn players, this kind of thing is important too, because of like how they're gonna. It's all about phrasing. That's the thing that's like the same for all instruments. And I would just say, for practicing, every time I get a chance to like really go on a deep dive of practice, even if it's for a couple days, I always think about in like if I'm doing scales and arpeggios and that kind of thing, how do I want the phrasing to sound? Like, am I able to control the sound? Like that always becomes a big part of my practice routine, because once you're working on music, arranging or learning tunes or whatever, that's the kind of thing that you don't have a chance to really get into, and I think it's so important. So I'm always thinking about phrasing. It's all about the phrasing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been shedding a lot on just soloing with my left hand and my right hand together in one octave. And just rhythm changes.
Right.
Slowly, just letting my left hand lead the improvisation.
Yep.
Because my right hand can do whatever my left hand can do usually. It's been eye-opening how terrible I am at it.
Okay, here's a great question. It's more of a comment. Well, no, it's a question. Greetings from Southwest UK, 7 stars. Just wondering, this is from Terry.
Yeah.
Just wondering when you're coming out with a You'll Hear It branded bourbon.
Well, interesting you should say that, Terry, because in the next couple of months, we're going to announce a new... No, we don't have.
No.
We just...
First of all, we have to say we have some listeners under the age of 18 and under the age of 21, depending, or 19, your jurisdiction in the world.
Right.
And we don't encourage bourbon and podcasting at the same time. However, for our adult members, are you guys? How old are you guys? Are you over? 22. Oh, they're 22. See how they're real quick to say they're over. Is that what your fake says, or your real?
We do.
They're both the same.
We
now.
do enjoy a bit of bourbon when we're podcasting.
And that's a very interesting thing. Now, would it be as easy to brand it by just taking our beautiful logo and taping it upon a high-end bourbon? How would that work?
Yeah, you could do that. I feel like, so I have friends who are really into beer, and I love beer, and they brew beer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you want to ruin beer for yourself like that?
I
Just
know.
enjoy. These people are really into making beer, and they're better than you at it.
2.5 miles from here is the Budweiser Brewery. If you want to get some questionable beer, you can do that locally.
Just go local. Take the tour.
That's right. But thank you for the question, and thank you for the 7 stars especially. I think it's your turn to pick a question. I like this little back and forth.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
got
yeah.
maybe, 2 more?
We got 2
3
more.
more?
Okay, so
We can do a couple more.
Robjatur. Sorry, Robjatur, if I'm totally butchering your Icelandic name. It's
sure
a beautiful looking name. The entire name is gorgeous. It looks like your name looks like a mountain range in the distance of beautiful Icelandic.
The little bit of time I spent in Iceland, like the names are beautiful, the people are beautiful.
Yes.
The men and the women, the old, the young, everybody. I mean, they've got like some secret water source up there that they're hoarding, apparently. Fountain of youth.
So he has a couple questions here about. I saw some tutorials from JPS. That's our jazz piano studio, by the way, if anybody doesn't know, on approach note formulas in bebop. Could you comment on this approach? Important exercises or not? I think he's talking about JPS.
Oh, I think he might be talking about a jazz
piano school, maybe.
Maybe so.
Oh,
yeah.
a little competition.
Well, anyway, no, it's fine.
Yeah, we do have a Jazz Piano Studio Facebook group, and that's
Yeah.
exclusive to members. If you
Well, did you do something about this in there?
I've done many things about approach notes,
So maybe
bebop
do that.
approach notes. We
Okay.
call them enclosures here at Open Studio because
Yeah.
that's how I learned them,
Yeah.
and that's just
I
what
did
we
not
call
learn
them.
them like that, but I like to play them.
But yeah, so these are incredibly important. I
Yeah.
think it's part of the jazz language. It's part of our lexicon. We all know them to some degree, and we all play them to a different degree.
Yeah.
But basically the concept is you have a target note. Let's say it's C. That's C. And then you can surround it. The most basic level is
I knew you
by
were
a
gonna
half
do that.
step, or
Yeah.
and then you can even go from a whole step above and kind of come down, or you can go from a whole step below, or you can do the opposite, or you can do the opposite. And there's a ton of these, and the combinations are endless, and they're super fun. And once you get going on them, I mean, you could do it diatonically. They're great. And they create these like zig and zags in your rhythm, and they're terrific.
And I think an important element to think about these, and where it really gets interesting and the application can really work for, kind of bebop, as you said is the timing of them, like strong beat, upbeat, triplet, or whatever. And there's no right or wrong with that, but there is sort of intentionality in how you approach, these notes and like how different it is. So yeah, the interval is there's different ways to do it with the interval and the number of notes, but like where it lays in the time is just as important for the
Agreed.
success of these things and whether or not
Agreed.
they sound good. And it's easy. You just kind of go by if it sounds good or not. Like I always think it's like, well, which ones work and which ones don't. I mean, there's exceptions but like how you play something and the intentionality and the phrasing and the vibe that you give it can almost make anything work. So definitely think about that as you're learning those.
All right. Hope that helped. And we have another question here. LA checking in. What's up?
And I got a good one after that.
Los Angeles.
What's up, West Coast?
Does your playing technique or thought process change if you're using an EP like a Rhodes or a Whirly or a B3, a Hammond B3 organ?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 100% it does. And actually, it changes a little more with the B3 than it does with the Rhodes or the Whirly, for sure.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not even super comfortable. I've done some records on B3 just for like rock projects or whatever.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm just like, this is not my, like, I feel like I'm faking the funk a little bit because I'm
Yeah.
not a B3 guy. I never had one growing up. You know what I mean? Because it's its own instrument. I mean, and the musicians who are B3 specialists,
Yep.
they can make them sing, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know what the black and white keys do, but everything else I'm kind of like, I've Googled just before I do the session.
Well, I think too, and it's just the main delineation between those is like a B3, and I've barely play. I'm like, I don't even do it. I actually did it on one recording session because they kind of really wanted me to do it, and I didn't like the way I play. I'm like, I don't play this instrument. I'd love to learn it.
Yeah.
But
you have to spend time on it,
you
man.
gotta
There's
spend time.
Expression pedal.
Yeah.
And,
But I mean, generally, like you're playing a note
Expression.
on the B3, and can stay a solid. I mean, the same strength of the note until you let it go. That's the big difference between Rhodes and a Whirly are the action is very similar to a piano in a way. I mean, yeah, it's not hitting a string, it's hitting a tone bar or whatever, but the fact that there's a decay with the note, whereas on a B3, you can hold a note forever.
Yeah.
Right? And it stays at the same place. So that's the big difference in terms of like, how you approach it, what you can play. And so, to me, playing on a Rhodes, it's more the sound is different, but the action and the attack and how that you play it is much closer to an acoustic piano.
It is, but I do actually change. I have both a Rhodes and a Whirly that I play regularly. Got the Rhodes over there.
I'm looking at it.
And I like to gig on those things as opposed to like a Nord or something or a keyboard.
No, they're great.
I prefer those, and I do change how I play, even based on if I'm playing the Rhodes or the Whirly. It's because the Rhodes has more sustain. The Whirly doesn't have quite as much sustain. The Whirly's punchier, has a sharper attack.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So I mean, I think just naturally, if you're listening and you're trying to blend with your band and you're trying to, support the music as much as possible, you're naturally going to play differently and approach those. You should anyway. If you're not, then you're not really listening. You're just kind of running your fingers in the way that you would anything. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can kind of change my approach depending on the piano I'm playing. If I'm playing a really crisp, bright piano, that's going to affect how I do things. If I'm playing on like a nice, dark belly Steinway, also going to affect how I do things.
I think that, I mean, even thinking about the different kind of keyboard instruments, the main difference outside of the sound, which, like as you say, like the sound of two different acoustic pianos can be violently different.
For sure.
But in terms of, you have categories of like how the sound's produced. So like if a string is being struck, or if or something's being hit with a hammer.
Yeah.
So that's a Rhodes, that's a Whirly, that's a piano, that's a what else is, I don't know.
Like a clavinet or something like that. Yeah.
But then you've got like a harpsichord where a string is plucked.
Yeah.
Still from the keyboard action, and then you've got like where the sound is electronically produced and can just continue to go like a Hammond or whatever else.
Yeah.
So to me, like that's the kind of main sort of difference in how you have to approach the instrument, and then you just have different sounds.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. I
got one more.
Oh, you got one more.
Is that
okay.
okay?
All right, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
From Jan, or Jan, I'm never sure. Question: when forming a band, do you think it's important to set the bar high early and stop and replay it upon confusions, mistakes, or just focus on having fun and getting serious later? Set a leader or democracy? This is a good one for you.
I'm always the leader first, but like I'm always like I think no matter what you do, you have to put the music first, and for that, it takes a good leader to recognize who the musicians are in your band and what are their personalities. And some people respond really well to you being like, "Hold on, let's clean this up right here and right now," and then some people need to jam it out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And you got to be able to recognize that.
But I've noticed over the years that I've known you, you've kind of grown into that role. Maybe you've always kind of had that belief and philosophy, but in terms of just being able to state it, that's like, whereas before you were more about like, oh no, democracy and like trying to set things up. And now I think that you're a little bit more like, whenever the situation, and that could be you or could be somebody else or whatever, but I love the fact that you said it's about the music and it's about the end result.
Right.
Whatever is going to bring that about is how that needs to be set up with that group of personality, with that music.
Yeah, be prepared to come at your fellow musicians like on their side, not in front of them, if that makes sense. Like, get with them, get down with them, and understand what their motivations are and what their goals are for the music. Yeah. And so, like, if you have a player who really, like, maybe they just really need to play for like 20 minutes to actually figure out, what do I want to do with this? Let them do it, you know? Yeah. But if you have a player who responds really, really well to like direct, hey, you should maybe try, or we should maybe do this. Yeah. Do that. You know, whatever works for the music is, but it's a harder answer because it takes actually getting to know people. Yeah.
And about this part here about, do you think it's important to set the bar high early and stop and replay upon confusion, mistakes, or just focus on having fun? Now I think you absolutely, it's important to set the bar high. I think with doing anything from a one-off gig to forming a band or whatever, the more long-term it is, the more you want to set the bar high. But I mean, like, I want to set the bar high musically every time.
For sure.
And a lot of times it just takes one person. Hopefully everybody comes with that attitude.
Yeah.
But I've been in situations before playing with full orchestras and jazz groups and big bands and different things where you get a kind of a herd mentality, and someone's got to like set the bar. They don't even have to be the best player. It's not about like, oh, I'm the best, so everyone come to my level. It's just like, no, come on, let's really do this serious. Let's kind of shepherd everybody together. Normally with an orchestra, that's a conductor. You need that to come from, but not always. It can be anybody there.
And if you are the leader of like, if it's your project or whatever, then I think you have total license to set the culture of the rehearsals and of the session or the gigs or whatever by being like, hey, we're not moving on until we nail this.
But I think that you can focus on having fun and get serious. I think that it can be serious and you can have fun.
Yeah, it's not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, that's hard. That you work on that.
Some players respond to hard work as like, this is what I want to be doing. This is fun for me. You know?
You know what's been fun for me is because we got the YouTube Live. I've been watching us. Do you know how much we do this, both of us, back and forth? And you can't, on the podcast, you can't see us, but we're rotating our chairs. We need straight jackets.
Oh my gosh! Honestly,
it's crazy. Like,
it is. I'm doing it.
Man, it's like we got to go potty.
It's a good thing they don't
It's like
bounce.
potty time here, man. Thanks for telling us, Ryan.
We need like fidget spinners, or I do this a lot. I'm watching myself.
We've already got a computer with like 30 screens, though. We got plenty of stuff to distract. We got keyboards. We got.
All right, cool. Today's podcast was brought to you by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com. Check out our new course.
Jazz Piano Basics.
Jazz Piano Basics. That's jazz with an S. No, it's not. That's jazz with a Z. Lead sheet breakdown. It's already kind of popping off. I'm super excited about this course.
I can feel it. I can feel the excitement in the
room. But yeah, until next time.
You'll hear it. Heart out.
Heart out. Hey, YouTube, thank you so much for showing up. Thanks for the great questions.
Yeah, man.
We tried to get to as many as we can. I got to go teach a clinic.
Yeah.
You got to go to happy hour.
Oh, not yet. I got a little meeting first. But yeah, thank you guys. We'll do another one. We're going to try to do let us know in the comments below. Do you like the YouTube Live or the Facebook Live? Haven't we done both?
We've done both. I like the YouTube, man. This is fun.
We like the YouTube. We're platform. Big shout out to Mark Zuckerberg still. Keep on social media.
I don't know about all that.
Oh, okay, no, but we want to connect with you guys wherever is convenient, right?
Yeah, totally.
You'll hear it live, YouTube Live. Until next time.
Thanks, y'all.
You'll hear it.
You'll hear it.